Hello, Stan. So we have a few questions for you. What's the future of ICO and which cryptocurrencies can we expect to be the leaders just next year or in the future?
Okay. I think the future ICOs will probably be a heavily regulated landscape where the platform of the different countries that allow us to generate an ICO will essentially be much more focused on protecting the investor, getting a streamlined process, KYC, AML, where are the funds coming from, how is the company operating. I think we will finally slowly start scaling into securities, which I think is something I'm really excited about. The way that securities will operate inside the ecosystem, essentially being a part where the owner of a security essentially has a part of the company, but the token, which is a security, is still floating around inside the ecosystem, so is very heavily linked to the performance of the company. And this type of performance-backed token is something that I'm really excited about. In terms of what cryptocurrencies will, like, I can't predict what's going to be the next big thing or the next Bitcoin or next Ethereum. What I do think is that people should look at doing their own research in terms of what do they believe, what tokens have an actual impact in the ecosystem that they try to exist in, much more than this is going to be the next big thing or that is going to be the next big thing. I think we should look still on a foundational layer such as privacy coins or such as blockchains that really try to create an infrastructural layer on which in the future, other ICOs can operate upon. So something like Ethereum that creates a really broad scale for other applications to exist upon. So blockchains, protocols, platform toolkits. I think it's a little bit too early in general to look at actual projects that interact with end users. Decentralized apps is it has a bright future, but I think we're still in an infrastructural stage where we need to look at building a foundation. And the new Facebook is far away. We're still converting IP addresses into URLs, so it's far away.
Thank you for such a detailed answer. And what about the token structure? Will it be the same as it is now, or will it become a kind of hybrid? I mean, will it stay a security token utility or something new probably appear?
It's also an interesting question. I think we will slowly migrate from having a utility token, which is a token that provides access to a service or a platform, where there's a transfer of value, but you're essentially transferring a value for access to something. There will be security tokens, which are purely asset-backed. This could be revenue, this could be a commodity, say gold or diamonds, this could be something like a stock or a share in a company. And then there will be something in between, which is more a form of a payment, where you essentially have a token that is a prepaid subscription or a prepaid payment for goods or services that you generate. And then I think you can finally find a synergy between all three of these tokens, which for me is something really interesting, because if you would compare it to, for example, buying an iPhone, in this type of model, you would essentially buy an iPhone, but every time you buy an iPhone, you automatically buy a stock of Apple, which in turn generates revenue because Apple is being profitable and you get a revenue from this. So if you compare this to security tokens, you have a security token that, for example, 20% of the company's profits is being redistributed to the token holders, but the token itself is floating around in the ecosystem every time you buy or share something. So it's essentially a self-sustaining system, which is much more interesting because there's an actual asset that generates profit for you purely than compared to a utility token, which is just, I have a token and it provides me access to a platform. It doesn't necessarily, there's no asset. There's no reason for this to keep existing. So I think security tokens will be a much larger market. I mean, currently we're at $325 billion, but the market that you can securitize is 100 trillions of dollars worth of value.
Okay, very good example with Apple. Thank you. And one more question about decentralization. Everyone is speaking about it, but what can happen with it in future? How do you think? Is it possible to make, for example, all exchanges decentralized, or what will have?
You're asking me if my dream can come true. Getting exchanges decentralized is probably one of the biggest challenges that we will face in the next coming months. I honestly think that centralization for an exchange is not that bad of a thing right now. In an ideal scenario, we are fully decentralized. From a purely practical point of view, I think it will be really hard because right now there's not one blockchain that scales into a transaction amount per second that is fast enough to support an order book and all the transactions going on in one exchange, even right now. Like if we grow from this $250 billion market, which is smaller than Apple as a company, into this multi-hundreds of trillions of dollars in assets that could be traded as securities, the order books will become massive. And we will get much wider adoption, and there will be so much transactions going on. And then these blockchains, to make it essentially decentralized, will not fully be able to scale into the speed that's necessary. There might be certain off-chain transactions that you can do, but I think we're too early because all of this is still being researched and there's no solution at hand. I mean, I hope there will be a solution. I think there's a few really interesting projects. I don't want to dig too deep in them, but I think there's an opportunity, but not in the near future. Yeah.
So probably it will be a new kind of blockchain, new generation.
I mean, it could happen with an extremely fast blockchain, but I think the solution will probably be in a layer that sits in between blockchains that allows interoperability. There's many examples of this, and I think that will probably be a solution that will be faster at hand, maybe not better, but faster at hand than this ultimate scaling crazy blockchain, because that's a utopia right now.
Thank you. So we have a clear future of blockchain. Thank you very much, Sten, for interesting answers. See you.